Y'all, this man really walked out of Atlanta's South Side with a criminal record. No corporate music connects, no industry cosign, no trust fund, nothing. And then he built a label from the ground up, signed Migos, Lil Baby, Music City Girls, Lil Yachty, and managed Cardi B. Turned the entire Atlanta trap scene into a billion-dollar culture pipeline, then flipped the whole operation to a South Korean music corporation for $320 million in cash and stock. Pierre P. Thomas, QCP, is sitting on an empire so deep across Georgia that calling him just a music executive feels like calling Jay-Z just a rapper. That title? It doesn't even begin to cover it anymore. This man put $1 million into building a bunker-style compound on Atlanta's west side with 4 recording studios inside. He's got real estate all over Atlanta. He launched Quality Control Sports with Rock Nation, locked in brand deals with Puma and Champs Sports. His combined net worth with Coach K was estimated at $300 million by Forbes in 2021. And by 2024, his personal number is hovering around $80 million and still rising. And after the Hype deal, he's still running the label. He didn't get bought out, fam. He bought in. This is the full breakdown of how QCP built one of the most powerful empires Georgia's ever seen, how he was living while building it, and what that $320 million bag really looks like in real life. To understand how P got here, you gotta rewind to Southwest Atlanta, Georgia. Born June 7th, 1981, Pierre Thomas didn't come from privilege. No label connections, no music industry, family, none of that. He came straight from Atlanta's streets, the same streets that would later inspire the music that made him rich. P has been open about his past. He did time, got out, got pulled back into the streets, and went right back. He once said, "After I got out and did time, I got caught up again in the streets and went back. But I refused to give up. What I've learned is nothing is owed to us. You got to get out here and work for everything you get." That right there, that's the foundation of everything. Music. This wasn't luck. This was a man who had doors slammed in his face over and over, filling out job applications on parole, already knowing the answer would be no. He's talked about being on parole, filling out forms employers had to sign to prove he was job hunting music, fully aware the odds were against him. That kind of reality that many closed doors didn't inspire him. It forced him. This was survival, turning into entrepreneurship. Before quality control was even a thought, P had already tested the music game. Music. He was involved with a label called Dirty Dollars Entertainment with his friend Dirty. They were young, ambitious, trying to step into business but didn't have the knowledge yet. The label didn't take off, but it gave him something priceless. He saw how the game worked from the inside even if he wasn't winning yet. At the time, his brother Buck was managing Gorilla Zoe, known for being part of Boys and the Hood. Through that music connection, P started studying, learning the business through people around him in the industry. Music. He said he paid attention to what worked, what didn't, and how talent could be used to build platforms that actually generate money and change lives. Music. That's the real education, gang. Not a classroom, not an internship. Real-life observation in Atlanta's music trenches. And the blueprint he was studying? He looked up to Master P and Birdman. Birdman's from his hometown of Atlanta. Those were the models, men who built independent empires without asking permission. Then came the twist. P had a studio, but he was over the music business at that point. His plan? Just rent out studio time to get his money back. He even said it himself. "I was fed up with music, but I had this studio, so I was just going to rent it out and make my money back." And that's when Coach K walked in. Coach saw the setup, saw the talent around P, and asked one simple question: "Are you interested in starting your label thing back up?" Here's where it gets interesting. The name Quality Control wasn't random. P had a best friend who passed away. They called him Q. So when Coach asked what mattered, P said anything with a Q in it. That was personal. A few days later, Coach came back and said, "Look up the definition of quality control." P did music. And Coach told him they could call it QC, with the Q standing out. They got designers to build the logo and ran with it. So every time you see that QC logo, that's not just branding. That's a tribute. That's real. And that authenticity, that's what made everything hit different from day one. Music. March 2013, Quality Control Music officially launches. Co-founded by Kevin "Coach K" Lee as COO and Music Pierre P. Thomas as CEO. These weren't corporate outsiders. Is greater than music. Is greater than Coach K had already managed Gucci Mane and Young Jeezy. P brought the street credibility. Music. Together, they covered every angle. But what really separated QC from every other label that popped up and disappeared that year was the structure. They didn't build a traditional label. They signed artists to 360 deals, splitting revenue from everything: touring, merch, publishing, licensing, music sales. They even treated music as just one piece of the machine, using it to push tours, merch, endorsements, and brand deals. Y'all gotta understand, at that level, a 360 deal means if the artist breathes and profits from it, QC gets a cut. Tour dates, merch drops, brand deals, publishing checks, sync licenses. That's not just a label. That's an ecosystem. And P built it from scratch on Atlanta's west side. They spent 12 months and $1 million building a bunker-style HQ offices, plus 4 high-end recording studios. A one-stop shop for artists trying to level up. Think about that. Music. Before platinum records, before superstars, they invested $1 million into infrastructure. That's Master P mentality. No limit style. You don't wait for greatness, you build it first. The first major play? Migos. The label got an alley-oop from Gucci Mane, who discovered Migos Quavo, Offset, Takeoff. 3 guys from Gwinnett County with a flow nobody had heard before. P saw it. Coach K saw it. They locked in. Then came Lil Yachty, City Girls, Lil Baby, Cardi B, under management. Piece by piece, QC built one of the most dangerous rosters in trap music. Under P and Coach K, artists like Lil Baby, Lil Yachty, and Migos shot to the top of Billboard through solo albums and the Control the Streets compilations. By 2017, QC wasn't just a label. It was the label. Every summer, every playlist, every chart, QC was everywhere. And while artists were the face, Music P was the architect quietly in the background, making sure every dollar was accounted for. P once said, "Everything we do is in-house. We got our own producers, our own engineers." That's vertical integration. That's controlling the entire pipeline from idea to paycheck. Music, no money leaking out, it stays in-house. February 2023, this is where it really goes up. Quality Control gets acquired by Hybe America, led by Scooter Braun, for $320 million in stock and cash. Music, let that sit. $320 million for a label built with zero corporate backing. No cosigns, just belief in Atlanta talent and the discipline to build infrastructure behind it. Here's how the deal breaks down. According to filings, Hybe America paid $250 million music up front and issued $50 million in stock to founders Coach K and P. So that's $250 M cash plus $50 M equity. And not just any company. Hybe owns BTS, Tomorrow X Together, Justin Bieber through SB Projects, Ariana Grande, and the Kid Laroi. That's global entertainment power. Hybe isn't just K-pop. Their US portfolio includes Big Machine label group home to Tim McGraw, Thomas Rhett, Rascal Flatts, and SB Projects. So QC just stepped into a global ecosystem. P went from Southwest Atlanta to boardrooms with people managing BTS. That's not just a glow-up, that's a generational leap. But when the news dropped, the streets had opinions. People started calling him a sellout. The internet lit up. QC sold to a Korean company? Scooter Braun? The same guy tied to that Taylor Swift Masters situation? It got loud. P addressed it directly. He said, "Stop music thinking people are selling out. See that people are selling in, building something bigger for everybody." And that's the real takeaway. This isn't selling out. This is strategic. Because here's what most people missed. Under the deal, QC artists still stay connected to Universal Music Group, and Scooter Braun made sure P and Coach K kept their leadership roles. P didn't lose control. He gained $320 million and kept the keys. That's top-level business. You don't get bought out, you get bought in. Keep your position and stack a 9-figure war chest. P even said Hybe was the perfect partner to take QC global, highlighting their track record of finding talent and scaling it to the highest level. Coach K backed that up, and Scooter Braun shared how, over 20 years ago, he and Coach were riding around Atlanta talking about dreams, saying if they ever got in the game, they'd never give it back. Now they're here. That's long game energy. Decades of relationships, years in the trenches, staying consistent until the world had no choice but to pay attention, then cashing out at the perfect time. That's elite. Now here's where things get even deeper, because that $320 million headline, that's just one piece. Let's really break down how rich P is. Before the sale, Forbes estimated Coach K and P's combined net worth at $300 million in 2021. That came from music, touring, merch, and brand deals. And remember, that was before the Hybe deal even happened. They were already sitting at $300 million combined, 2 years before adding another $320 million to the story. The acquisition. The bag was already serious. P's individual net worth, based on multiple 2024 estimates, is sitting around $80 million on his own. Back in 2021, he was estimated at about music $50 million, and now that's climbed to roughly $80 million in 2024, showing just how sharp his business moves have been and how he stayed profitable in a fast-changing industry. Then you've got the real estate play. His wealth isn't just music, it's label, revenue, property investments, and endorsement deals. On top of the music side, he's been buying real estate all across Atlanta. Those properties bring in steady income and keep appreciating, quietly boosting his net worth over time. Music. A majority. Atlanta real estate, especially luxury, is on a different level right now. We're talking Buckhead mansions listed between $4 million and $6 million, offering amenities that would easily run $15 million out in Los Angeles. P is Atlanta born and raised. He understands the land, the growth, the long game, and he's been stacking property in a market that's been rising for over a decade. Then come the brand partnerships. With his influence in music, Thomas secured deals with brands like Puma and Champs Sports. These aren't small plays. When you're the guy behind Lil Baby's rise, those brand conversations hit 7 figures. Music, Puma and Champs Sports don't cut lightweight checks. And then there's Quality Control Sports. In 2019, QC teamed up with Roc Nation Sports to launch a whole new division, Quality Control Sports. That's a direct link with Jay-Z's sports management world. P wasn't satisfied running music. He looked at his artists and thought, what happens when they start sitting courtside at NBA games or stepping onto NFL fields? Why not control those relationships too? So he built a sports arm. Simple as that. Opportunity was there, and he wasn't letting anyone else eat off it. And he's still thinking bigger. At one point, P publicly said he was interested in buying 300 Entertainment, the label, home to Megan Thee Stallion, Young Thug, and Gunna. He even tweeted, "I want to buy at 300. My banker's on deck. Let's talk." The price? Around $400 million. And after the Hybe deal, that's not even crazy talk for him anymore. That's the level he's operating on now. So what does an $80 million man from Southwest Atlanta, who just cashed out a $320 million deal, actually do with his life? Let me paint it real clear. P moves quietly. Music. A majority, that's his whole vibe. He's not the type posting every car online, showing up at every club, music, or doing interviews every week. He even said it himself. "I don't like being at the forefront. It's from the heart. I'm behind a lot of philanthropy projects people don't even know about." He's giving back off camera. No clout, no noise. Music. That's rare. But don't confuse silence with small living, because when P does step out, he does it right. June 2022, Diddy throws him a black-tie birthday party in Atlanta. Everybody pulled up dressed to the max, driving their best cars. P arrives in a white Rolls-Royce Phantom, matching his white jacket. His crew rolls in behind him. White Mercedes-AMG G-Wagon, white Lamborghini Urus. 3 cars, all white, all luxury, perfectly matched. That's not random, that's calculated. That's a man who once filled out job applications on parole, now pulling up like that. Let that sink in. And here's what really separates P from typical rapper flexing. He doesn't live in his money. He moves his money. Early on, people described him as someone who wore a lot of jewelry. Used to, past tense. Because somewhere along the way, P realized chains don't grow, but equity does. Music, a majority. The jewelry got replaced with 360 deals, publishing rights, and property investments. That's evolution. He didn't leave the culture, he just stopped letting the culture spend his money. His lifestyle shows through his network. Just look at who shows up for him. At that same birthday, you had Takeoff, Lil Baby, City Girls, Gucci Mane, Jermaine Dupri, 2 Chainz, DJ D-Nice, Coi Leray, Moneybagg Yo, and even Atlanta's mayor, Andre Dickens. Music. The mayor of Atlanta pulled up not for press, not for politics, just as a guest. When your guest list looks like that, you're not just in the industry anymore. You are the industry. That headquarters P and Coach K built on Atlanta's west side, music, it's basically its own block. They put $1 million into it in a single year, 4 studios, office space, full operations. But it's bigger than just a building. That's QC territory. The physical proof of everything P built. Studios running non-stop. Artists moving in and out. Deals happening in every room. That's not an office, that's a compound. Right next to it is their management arm Solid Foundation, handling artists like Lil Yachty and others on the rise. Then, you've got QC's film and TV division, the sports division, consulting. QC isn't just a label, it's a full entertainment empire. Every branch makes money. Every branch feeds back into the core. Every branch keeps P getting paid even when he's not in the room. That's real empire structure. And Atlanta? That's P's city in a way that's almost literal now. He came from the southwest side, built HQ on the west side, owns property across the metro. He created opportunities for Atlanta artists, engineers, producers, lawyers, managers. QC's economic impact in Atlanta is massive. Every artist spends there. Every show starts there. Every session, every video, shoot it all, cycles through the city. P turned Atlanta into the main hub of hip-hop for nearly a decade. On the personal side, his life shifted too. In March 2019, he had a son. A month later, in April, he had a daughter with model Lyra Mercer. Now he's building for legacy. That changes everything. You stop thinking short-term. You start thinking trusts, assets, long-term wealth. And speaking of legacy, the Hybe deal didn't end QC. It leveled it up. P kept his position, stayed at the top, still running the label with Coach K. Music. A majority. Still signing talent, still building artists. Only difference now? He's backed by a global powerhouse. That's what people didn't catch. Music. This wasn't an exit. This was an upgrade. Let's zoom out. Before QC, Atlanta was already dominating rap. Jeezy, Gucci, T.I., Outkast, Goody Mob. But by the early music 2000s, the next wave wasn't structured. Talent was everywhere, but no system behind it. P saw that gap. He didn't just fill it, he built a machine to keep filling it. QC became known for discovering and developing smaller artists. Why it feels like their artists pop out of nowhere. But it's not random. They were using internet analytics to track where artists were popping organically and targeting those areas first. Music. Back in 2013, 2014, most labels relied on radio and instincts. QC was using data. That's tech-level thinking in a rap label. And the impact? Huge. Lil Baby, arguably the biggest rapper for a stretch in the early 2020s, came from P. City Girls. One of the most influential female rap groups came from P is greater than is greater than music is greater than is greater. Lil Yachty, who shifted the sound of modern rap, came from P. Migos, who changed the flow of hip-hop entirely, came from P. One man, Southwest Atlanta, no cosign, built the system that produced one of the most important waves in hip-hop history. That's not opinion, that's fact. He's also been active in the number Second Chances initiative, helping formerly incarcerated individuals learn entrepreneurship and rebuild their future. P didn't forget his roots. He built pathways for people who faced the same locked doors he did. That's real. Music. A maggiore di. And the Hype deal. It set a whole new standard. Music. A man from Atlanta's streets builds an independent label, scales it globally, sells it for $320 million, and keeps control? That's a blueprint. He showed the next generation you don't have to choose between staying real and getting paid big. You can do both. You can come from nothing, build something global, and still honor where you came from, even naming your company after a lost friend named Q. Real, recognize real. This man owns a city. He grew up there, got overlooked there, went to prison there, came back, and built an empire there, signed the next generation there, sold it for $320 million, and stayed to keep building. Pierre P. Thomas doesn't just move in Atlanta anymore. At this point, Atlanta moves with him. And for someone who started with nothing, filling out job applications on parole knowing no one would call back, that's one of the wildest business stories this culture has ever seen. That's the real tea, gang. Subscribe, like, hit that notification bell. Drop your thoughts below. Should P have sold QC or held it down longer? And does the Hype deal make QC stronger or change something? Let's talk. We out.